Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another session of AP Economics. Today, I'm going to go over the worksheets that were included in your uh, Module 7 um, information in your notes. I have some worksheets in there. The worksheets, any of these worksheets that have something about a YouTube video or some sort of video or website, those links are not only on the worksheet here, but the links are hot and on inside of our econ webpage on this is unit 2 for us, so this would be unit 2, so you could go through and answer any of those, so or use those links. So if we take a look here at worksheet 7.1, it says watch Jeremy Goad's simple supply and demand video and then complete the exercise here. So the first thing it says, you use PE and QE to label equilibrium. So first of all, we would just turn around and here is PE and here is QE. Then it says to draw a line to show the price, that a price is above the equilibrium. So here we go. I'm going to draw a price that's above the equilibrium, right? Price above the equilibrium, and showing QS and QD and the conditions created. So we'll go ahead and we'll label this P1. And we can see right here at this conditions, we have quantity. What is this? This is, what does it say? QS and QD. So this is quantity supplied. This is right here is the amount of quantity demanded. Okay. Then it says draw a line to show the price below, graphing it and labeling it QS and QD for the conditions it creates. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't know, we'll just pick another spot here, but the lines might intersect somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph it right here. Okay, we'll call that P2. And essentially right here then would be the amount of quantity supplied. And right here would be the amount of quantity demanded. So that would be essentially the 1, 2, and 3. Now, I could have tried to make it so that they're both in the exact same spot, but they're not. And you can see up here, you get this right here is the surplus, and down here you get right here you get a shortage. And why do you get that? If we look right here, this is the amount of quantity. The amount of quantity supplied. Over here, you get quantity demanded. So quantity supplied up here is greater than quantity demanded. And then down here, right here, you get the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied right here. So that's your shortage. So you get a shortage when quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. Okay. So I know my drawings are pretty bad, but I'm using the little pen on the laptop screen. So apologize if there's any issues there. So it says, what forces will cause the conditions to create in quantity 2, all right, quantity 2, to move back to equilibrium, all right? So sellers, if we think about quantity 2, I believe we're talking about the quantity. So quantity 2 would be when I drew it up here. So that would be, this would be the quantity 2, and this one would be the quantity 2, right? And then this would be the quantity 3 here, and this would be the quantity 3 here. So what forces will eventually cause the conditions created in quantity in, oh no, I'm sorry, that's question 2. Question 2 to move back to equilibrium. And question 2 was to create with the price above it. I'm sorry. Eventually, sellers will compromise and offer more to sell, and buyers are willing to buy more. So what closer to the previous equilibrium. So when we have the surplus, what will happen is if we have this surplus, eventually what will happen is the market price will fall over time. Then it says to answer question 3, if the price is too low, which is in that shortage, you'll get the price to increase there. So then it says, so that's answered question 4 and 5. Question 6 says, define the surplus conditions. The surplus conditions, which I already wrote, the surplus conditions is when the quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. And when do you have a shortage? Shortage is when quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. So that's pretty straightforward right there. And that leads us to worksheet 7.2. 7.2. All right, so let's take a look at 7.2. It says answer the following questions that relate to supply and demand. All right, so it says, what has occurred for a market to be in equilibrium? What had to occur for for the market to be in equilibrium? And you have A, B, C, and D. The answer would be D, right? Quantity supplied has to equal quantity demanded. Number 2 says list the 3 questions that we consider when looking to be sure a market will arrive at equilibrium price. Well, one, we have to, why do all sales and purchases in the market take place at the same price? 2, why does the market price fall if it is above equilibrium price? And 3, why does the market price rise if it's below equilibrium price? So once again, the 3 questions you have to ask of why when we're looking at a market is, why do all sales and purchases in the market take place at the same place or same price? Once again, they all take place at the same price because we look at equilibrium, right? That was the first question. The second question is, um, why does the market price fall if it's above the equilibrium price? Well, because of the invisible hand. The price is too high. When the price is too high, we get quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. And when the price is, and then the next question would be, why does the market price or rise if it's below equilibrium? And when it's below equilibrium, it's because quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. So that will cause the prices to go up. This will cause the prices to go down, and will always be at equilibrium. Number 3 says, what is key to assure that all sales and purchases in the market take place at the same price? Okay, so we're asking that question. So the answer would be C. A market is well established and ongoing, right? We're always going to be, the market's always going, right? And we're always going to be at equilibrium price. Always, always, always. Well, in the free market, that's what we want. Number 4 says when the price in the market is above equilibrium price, will result in when the price is above, will end up in a surplus. And number 5 says, which of the following statements correct or incorrect? Explain your answer. So, equilibrium occurs. All right, equilibrium occurs when supply equals demand. So, technically, the statement as is, because people instantly go, when supply equals demand or demand equals supply. Technically, equilibrium occurs where supply equals demand. Technically, the statement as it is incorrect. Equilibrium occurs where quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. So, not where supply and demand, where quantity supplied equals quantity demand. That's where it's equal. You could also be said that equilibrium occurs where the supply curve intersects the demand curve. And at that point, quantity supply does equal quantity demanded. So once again, we don't just say when supply equals demand. Okay, that's kind of a generic thing, but technically that's not right. We're essentially saying right here at equilibrium, that is where quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. Okay, so we take a look at worksheet 7.3. 7.3. Now, we're starting to get some more stuff and some more drawings here. Okay, it says there's a drought in California and no rain has fallen in 2 months. Many crops are devastated. What happens to the peach market? what happens to the peach market. So if we go ahead and we draw a demand curve here, a supply curve here, we have equilibrium here of price and quantity here. We should have this label quantity here and price here. So we'll call it Q1, P1. It says what happens if there's a drought? Well, if we know there's a drought, peaches are going to die off. So we're going to see the supply curve shift this way, which then drives the price up to P2 and the quantity down to Q2. Okay, so that's what we'll see happen to the market. So we'll see a decrease in supply, a decrease in quantity demanded. Okay, so the prices change. All right, so we can see that the the supply decrease, the supply curve shift to the left, and the price of peaches go up. Okay, so that's what we see happening there. Number two tells us the price of books has increased greatly. What happens to the marketplace for books from the consumer point of view? From the consumer point of view. So, from the consumer point of view, if it says book prices have increased, well, we were here at equilibrium, right? P1, Q1. Now, this just said an increase in price. They didn't say anything about any kind of shift change, or just says that the price of books have increased, and it's asking about the consumer's point of view. Remember, price goes up, law of demand tells us price goes up, quantity of demand, it falls. So from the point of view of the consumer, we're going from here and we're going here. We're going to buy less. We're going to buy less. So, in the point of view of the consumer, because that's a demand curve, right? It says the price has changed, which brings along a change in quantity demanded. We're going to move along the demand curve up and to the left to a lower quantity. Consumers will purchase a smaller quantity of books at the higher price, right? This is the law of demand. Number three says the quantity supplied of comic books is much greater than the quantity demanded for comic books. What is occurring in the marketplace? So here's the demand, here is the supply, here is equilibrium where we should be. Oop, why did that go up? Oop. Q1, Q1. So it says here the quantity supplied of comics book is greater than quantity demanded. Quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. So that means they're not at equilibrium, because at equilibrium, we have quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded. So where must it be where quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded? The price must be too high. The price must be too high. There is a surplus. This is a surplus. We have a surplus of comic books. The price must fall to go back down to equilibrium so that quantity demand equals quantity supply. All right, we're just cruising along here. So hopefully you've been working on these worksheets. Okay, I think this next one's a little more intricate, So you have to have watched a video with this, which I have posted on the website. So you can take a look at that. And it says after watching the video and the shifts, you should be able to fill these out. So if you've watched the video, and answer the questions as you watch the video, you should be able to fill these in. It says a decrease in demand leads to a shift. Let me get this. A shift in demand curve to the left and causes the price to go down and the quantity to go down. Okay. Then B tells us a decrease in the supply leads to a shift in the supply curve to the left and cause the prices to go up and the quantity to go down. Okay. C says an increase in demand leads to a shift in demand, in the demand curve to the right and causes the price to go up and the quantity to go up. The next one says an increase in supply leads to a shift in the supply curve to the right and causes the price to go down and the quantity to go up. Okay? So that's the first part. So let's look at number 2. It says list the factors that shift the demand curve and the factors that shift the supply curve. Now, once again, we in class, I taught you for demand, CSI PET, and for supply, I taught you GI TOES. Now, that's not exactly what they showed you in the movie, but we've gone over this several times. They'll say the price, they'll say the price of related goods for demand, and I just say complementary and substitute instead of just saying related goods. So we have the price of complementary goods, price of substitute goods, income, population, number of consumers, expectations or future expectations of price, and T for taste, fads, and preferences. And then for GI TOEs, I have government involvement like tax and subsidies, input costs, T for technology, O for opportunity costs, E for expectations or future expectations of prices, and S number of suppliers. Okay, that's what that we go ahead and we do. So then it says when the demand goes up, what happens to price and quantity? So when demand goes up, what happens to price and quantity? So when demand goes up, or we should say increases, when demand increases, what do we get? We get D here, price and quantity go up. Number 4, it says when supply goes up, when supply goes up, when supply goes up, it shifts. Now, a lot of people kind of when they think of supply going up, they're like, wait, it's going down, right? No, when it's increasing, it's shifting to the right. So, shifting to the right. So, what do we see happen? We see B, the price goes down and the quantity goes up. Okay. Next, we see a video which I have about double shifts in supply and demand. Okay, and if you watch the video, there's 2 questions with it. Okay, so the first question says, "What is the major goal of economic analysis?" Okay, what is the major goal of economic analysis? And essentially, it's to identify what happens to the equilibrium price and quantity under different conditions. So, what happens to equilibrium price and what happens to equilibrium quantity under different conditions? Like if we have an increase in demand or a decrease in demand or an increase in supply or a decrease in supply. So, any of these things, what's happening to our equilibrium? Right? What is happening to equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity? That's what we're looking at. Okay. Number 2 says when there are double shifts of supply and demand going in opposite directions, what's bound to happen? Okay, what's bound to happen? Well, if supply and demand are going in opposite directions, okay, opposite directions. So let's say we do one here where demand increases and supply decreases, and then over here we'll do demand decreases and supply increases. So they're going in opposite directions. Because we know what happens if demand increases and supply increases, we know price is ambiguous, but quantity will increase. And then if demand decreases and supply decreases, we know once again price is ambiguous and quantity will fall. So in these, we know that price is ambiguous, right? Or I'll put the question mark. The other 2, we know it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be the exact opposite. So let's show right here. So I'm going to show demand increases. What do we see when demand increases? Price goes up, quantity goes up. When supply decreases, we see price goes up, quantity decreases, right? So in this example, what do we see? We see price is going to go up and quantity is ambiguous. But over here, demand decreases, then we know price falls, quantity falls. When supply, oops, I'm sorry, it's supply increases, we see price fall, but quantity increase. So in this scenario, what do we get? We get price falls and quantity is ambiguous. So when they go the same direction, we know about quantity, but price is ambiguous. But when they go in opposite directions, like these two, when they go in opposite direction, these two, we end up with um, the knowing which way the price is going, but we know quantity is ambiguous when they go in opposite directions. Okay. Number five. We got a bunch to go through here, or I should say 7.5. 7.5. So let's take a look at 7.5. It says here, start by drawing four supply and demand curves in equilibrium, which we have. And it says to each one, make the following changes. Make the following changes. So in or graph A or whatever, it says there's a small increase in demand and a small increase in demand and a large increase in supply. So let's go small increase in demand. Oh, that's a terrible writing. Small increase in demand, but a large increase in supply. What do we see happening here? What do we see happening here if there's a small increase in demand and a large increase in supply? Okay, so we're shifting right? So if we see that happening, okay, what do we see happening? The price is doing what? What's happening here? The price is falling and the quantity is rising. In B, it says there's a small increase in demand, a small increase in demand, and an equal decrease in supply. An equal decrease. So a small increase in demand and an equal decrease in supply. An equal decrease in supply. Oh, that's sort of it. So we know price is going to go up then, and then quantity stays the same. Okay. All right. That's what we got there for that one. All right. The demand shifted to the right, the supply curve shifted to the left, and we know the price went up and quantity is the same. The next one, what does it ask for? What does the next one ask for? I was going to scroll up. C, it says if there's a large decrease in demand, so we'll put a large decrease in demand, and then it says a small increase in supply, All right, so now we're here. So what do we know? What do we know is happening in C? We see that the price is going to fall and quantity goes down. I want to be able to see, so I didn't write it down on the bottom there. And then the last one says that there's a large increase in demand, Oops, so we'll put that there. That's a terrible looking demand curve. And a small decrease in supply, So what do we know here? We essentially know that price is going to go up, right? And quantity is going to go up because we're giving this one, because they're giving us amounts that it's shifting. Now there's nothing that's ambiguous. If they just said, give us an increase in demand, give us a decrease in supply, then something would be ambiguous. But because they're saying a large decrease or a large increase or a small increase, or, like if they're giving us how much it should be moving. All right, so that's why you see the way it is. Okay. Um, Note the effect. So two says note the effect on equilibrium prices and quantities in each scenarios. We noted and we talked about it. We drew it out. We looked at it. Okay. Then it says number three, if you were not told by how much each increase or decrease was, would there be an unavoidable result in either price or quantity for a double shift of supply? If that was the case, something would be ambiguous. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, come on, pen. Something. Either, oh boy, here goes the pen. Oh, I don't know why the pen's not working here. There we go. Either price or quantity. One, oh my goodness, I just bought a new battery for it. Ugh. Wow, this is terrible. Ugh. All right, so either the price or quantity, one of them, if we have two shifts, one of them will be ambiguous. I think I spelled that right. So, what is a general rule for both demand and supply shift? If there's simultaneous shifts occur, either price or quantity will be ambiguous or indeterminate. One of them will be if they don't give you sizes of the shifts or numbers of how big the shift are. So they just say one is shifting, increase if demand's increasing, supplies increasing, demand is decreasing, supplies like if they just say that there's an increase or decrease or something like that, or just tell you about like the determinants of demand or determinants of supply, something will be ambiguous. Something's bound to be ambiguous. Okay. All right. So now we're at what is it? 7 6 7 6 7 6 7 6. Let's hopefully it will draw for me here. So it says draw the supply and demand curve in equilibrium. Oh, of course, the pen doesn't work again. All right, so we have demand and supply. We have equilibrium. Boom, boom. All right, so we did that. Okay, so we draw draw a supply and demand curve in equilibrium. Did that. Now assume that there is a decrease in demand. A decrease in demand. What effect will that have on the supply curve? Well, all right. So if we have a decrease in demand, okay, a decrease in demand, we will see that the price will fall. All right. So a decrease in demand. We know that we have then a decrease in quantity supplied, and we see a decrease in the price and a decrease in quantity. Okay, so um, we'll have the new demand curve. Quantity supplied will decrease. Okay, equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity will fall. Then B, it says, now assume that there's an increase in supply after the occurrence of your decrease in demand. The increase in supply is of much greater degree. Ooh, I should have read that before. Is in a much greater degree. A much greater degree. All right. So let me redraw that. Let me redraw it. So if we were here, and then we have the decrease in demand, which was A, and then B, it says an increase in supply at a much greater degree. All right, here's an increase in supply at a much greater degree. What will we see happen? Well, with the new supply curve drawn uh, to the right of the existing one, we will see here now we went from here to here, right? And now we're going from here to here. So now with that, we will see a decrease in price, right? But yet an increase in quantity, right? So this is also an increase in supply, this shift here, and a increase in quantity demanded. So we will see the quantity demanded will uh, will change, right? We will see that change, okay, and it'll put us over here. So it did say right. I did read that an increase in supply is much greater degree then the decrease in demand. State the effects of the new equilibrium. So essentially, we're going to be way over here versus way over there when we just shifted. So they did one after the other. But once again, they gave us a degree and said that the supply curve shift should be greater. Okay. Number two says draw 5 supply and demand graphs in equilibrium showing what happens when given the following changes. All right. So what's going to happen? So let's put the supply and demand curve here. And it says supply increases and demand decreases by a greater amount. So supply increases. So I'm going to put a small supply increases. We started here. And then the demand decreases by a greater amount. So that puts us over here. So what do we see happen on that? We see that because of the greater degree, we see the price and the quantity will both decrease. So if we draw this one, it says supply and demand increase by the same amount. They both increase by the same amount. Ooh, let's see if I can get that. All right. They increase by the same amount. What should we see happen? We should say price stays the same and quantity should increase. Okay, so once again, they're giving us amounts. So when we talked about things being ambiguous, they're giving us amounts so we don't have to, we won't see that ambiguous thing here, right? Unless they tell us that there's, an ambiguous thing. So here's the next one. It says supply increases and demand decreases at the same amount. So increases, supply increases, and demand decreases by the same amount. Yeah, that wasn't very good. It should have been right. Yeah, that's close. I'm a terrible drawer on the computer. So if that's the case, right? If that's the case, right? Demand decreases by supply increases, demand increases. So what should we see? Price decreases and quantity stayed the same, right? Quantity stayed the same, right? All right. Yeah. I'm asking you right, but you guys can't hear me or I can't hear you. Oh gosh. What a great day. It just stormed like 2 minutes before when I started this video, it was downpouring and now the sun is shining. All right, so here we go. Demand increases, so I'm going to draw demand increases, and the supply decreases by a smaller amount. Supply decreases by a smaller amount. So by a smaller amount. So we went from here to here, okay, by a smaller amount, okay. So what are we going to see happen? We're going to see both the price increase and the quantity increase. That wasn't really good. Let me draw it one more time. I'm going to make it a little bigger demand. So it says demand increase, so I'll make it a bigger demand curve shift, right? And then, so we were here, and then it says just a small supply decrease, so we can see it a little better right here. So there's where we see the price increases and quantity increases because we went that way and that way. Okay. And then E says demand stays the same and supply increases. So demand stays the same and supply increases. So we went from here to here. So supply increases, quantity demand increases. We just slid down there. So what do we see happen? The price decreases and quantity increases. All right. And I think we have one more. No, we have more than one more. So 7-7. So 7-7 is once again a video. And it says, which of the following are true? Which of the following are true? So it gives you, there's a direct relationship between price and quantity demanded. There's a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. There's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. There's an inverse relationship between price and quantity supplied. There's a direct relationship between quantity demanded and quantity supplied. So what is your answer for number 1? It should be, and of course, the pen stopped working. Oh, come on. New battery. You would think, there we go. The answer should be D. All right. There's a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied, and there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay. And then if you've watched the video, it says, what law does Mr. Clifford refer to when he shows the downward sloping demand curve? He's talking about the law of demand, right? Price goes up, quantity demand falls. When price goes down, quantity demanded rises. Number 3, what relationship does the law of supply show? What relationship does the law of supply show? That is a direct relation. That's D, a direct relationship. Okay. Then number 4, if the price is above equilibrium, which of the following will result? If the price is above equilibrium, you should have got, oh gosh, why every time I do something? Oh, and get me a better, there we go. Is D. For number 4, quantity demanded will decrease and quantity supplied will increase and the surplus will exist. Okay, because we slid up a bit, but we know what should happen. It should go back to equilibrium. If the price is below equilibrium, which of the following will result? If the price is too low, then we'll see A, the quantity demanded will increase, quantity supply will decrease, and the shortage will exist. So we're saying in both 4 and 5, they're saying if we're here and here, so this is 4, this is 5, they're saying if the price is above equilibrium, right? If the price is above equilibrium, it says quantity demand will decrease, right? So if we were here, what happened? The quantity demand decreased, quantity supplied increased, and this surplus will exist because the price is too high. But we know what will eventually happen, the exact opposite. The exact opposite, price will fall, and then we'll see this. Then we'll see the quantity, because the price will follow the law of demand, law of supply. And it says if the price is too low, we'll see quantity supplied will fall to this point, and quantity demand will fall to this point, and we'll see quantity demand greater than quantity supply, and therefore we'll see a shortage. All right. In module 7, exit slip, it says which of the following statements is true? Which of the following statements is true? It's almost like every time I turn the page, my pen goes out. Every time. Every time. All right. So it says which of the following are true, or it's almost like when I lay it flat. Maybe I never lay it down. It says which of the following are true? For number 1, it should be C. A surplus occurs when the quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded and the price is above equilibrium. When the demand, for number 2, when the demand for a good or service increases, the result in which of the following? Okay, that would be D, right? Equilibrium price will increase and quantity will increase because we go here, there's an increase in demand, a shift right in demand. It says when demand decreases and supply increases by differing degrees. What do we know? Differing degrees. That means that they're not telling us by how much. So if we were to do our two shifts here, and it says demand decreases and they said supply increases. So if demand decreases, what do we know? Price goes down, quantity goes down. When supply increases, we know price goes down and quantity goes up. So we know that price is going to fall and quantity is ambiguous. So that should be B. That should be B. So with that being said, I believe that's the last one. Yep, that's the last one. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. I did go through all the worksheets, so take time to go through them. And have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.